Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of What I Believe by E.M. Forster. Here, Forster declares his attitude towards life. And since he had faced a situation of being oppressed by war and there was always a constant threat of war, he has evolved for himself a certain creed. What he says is he does not believe in belief as such. And then he goes on to tell about how he evaluates his attitude towards life. One person should definitely have these three qualities. One is tolerance, then good temper and sympathy. Tolerance is to bear whatever happens to you. Good temper is to be in happiness so that you will be peaceful. And sympathy is we have to sympathize with others, then only we will not cause any danger to others. And this sort of attitude is definitely different from what was said by Muses and St. Paul's, but it is almost the same as what Erasmus or Montaigne had said. And moreover, he says that God Almighty will help him to maintain this unbelief. That is, he does not believe, and he believes that God will help him to continue this sort of an attitude. And he also says that God never expects human beings to believe in God or worship God and follow any rigid code or anything. But only thing is, all religion will tell you to have this universal code, that is these three characters: tolerance, good temper and sympathy. And he also believes in the value of personal relationship, and he says that each one must be very loyal to their friend. And for this he gives the example of Dante, a medieval Italian poet. And Dante in his Divine Commedia places the Romans like Brutus and Cassius in the lower level of hell. And the reason he says is they betrayed their friend Julius Caesar because they thought that Julius Caesar is a threat to the honored liberties of Rome, and therefore they conspired to murder him, and they murdered him. And actually their action may show that they loved their country more than their friend. But according to Dante, Judas, Brutus and Cassius are the worst traitors in history. And Forster also speaks about democracy as the less hated contemporary forms of government. There are different types of government. In that he says democracy is better. And he says there are two special reasons for it, because democracy has two merits. One is it recognizes the freedom of the individual genius. Second is democracy allows criticism. And then he says there are only 2 points. I don't have a third point to say about democracy. And he says we call ourselves civilized people, but when civilization is there is only when there is a gap between one war and another. During that intervals only there is peace between the people. Otherwise we cannot see them as civilized people. And at the same time he says we should not idealize force, or we should not ignore force. That is, force should be there, but you should not think that is very great, I am very powerful. At the same time you should not refuse force also. And for this he refers to the story of Nibelings. And Nibelings is a story which comes from Norse mythology, where we find all the force and power is inside gold. And this gold is with evil giants Fafnir. And these evil giants only, they guard this treasure day and night. They only have the gold. And next to these evil giants only, we have the castle of Valhalla and Valhalla, where the heroes, all the fallen heroes, that is in the battle who all were defeated, they are all living. And they feast with the gods itself. And though these evil giants, they have the power, and all that evil they have, this palace is really flourishing. And the main reason is the giants do not know about the power which they have, and therefore even human beings are very happy, because force is not dominant at all the time. Force will be applied only at one time, other times the people are very happy and peaceful. And Foster says that some wicked influence has come to Europe in the cruel form of despotism. And they have made the whole world in the form of totalism. And this, he says, will definitely destroy all that is noble and good unless man realizes the danger of totalitarianism and tries to get rid of it. And these are the people who help the devils of power in destruction. And we also have blind philosophers who do not recognize the terrible fact of his existence. And after telling about the predominant violent force in the world and the danger which will come out of it, Foster expresses the view that there is definitely hope for mankind in future, because in between these wars the man will have peace, and during that peaceful time he will involve in creative activity. And he says when violence sleeps, goodness and truth will come into power, they will take control. And for that he gives example of Greek dramatist Sophocles and Latin poet Horace. Sophocles says that he is disappointed in life, and he also thinks it is better that he is not at all born. Whereas Horace says that when people are born, each batch of birth is superior than the previous birth. That is, a man is, when he is born itself, he is a better form, better minded than the previous people. So each people, as they are born, they will definitely create a better future. And Foster is also very optimistic, but at the same time he is not very optimistic, but at the same time he accepts what Horace says. And another thing he says is it is a big danger to have hero worship, because this has become a part and parcel of aristocracy. In some countries, he says it is very common to see one great hero and he has two lesser men next to him to compare him with. And there will be a big group of timid crows who offer adoration. That is, keep on praising this hero, so that the hero will start really thinking that he is very powerful. And this is actually, he says it's a mental exaltation. And he says maybe it is very clear that this sort of a hero worship was offered to people like Hitler and Stalin. And he also believes that the destiny of a nation depends on the aristocracy of intellectuals, because these intellectuals are sensitive and they are considerate and they are also brave. Sensitive means they will know what is good, what is bad. Considerate means they will consider other people, and they are brave enough to put forth their ideas and enter into action. And he says in all human traditions such people are definitely there, but thing is they will not advertise their deeds, and in order to play their role they need not even become ascetics. And he says the problem is it is not easy to organize these aristocrats together, because when someone tries to unite them they just slip away, and these people can feel the heart's affections, and they will also be very serviceable to the society as long as these intellectuals also keep away from power. And this is what he says, what I believe. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.